I would like to discuss about China. And I would like to have an overview of the regional headquarter in China, because as you know, it's the second economy of the world, is coming out hopefully from a tough Q2 due to the lockdown in different cities and regions. In April, over 330 million citizens were in lockdown in China, almost the population of all the EU state members or of the USA. And we are now looking if this exodus of companies or expat will happen or not, or are just rumors. And indeed, we want to know what China, and especially Shanghai, can provide to companies that decide to invest now and to do a regional headquarter in the country. I would like to give the floor to our senior partner and my global partner, Matteo Zhi, which is advises a European company in cross-border transaction into the emerging economies. Its special focus, of course, M&A, foreign direct investment, and outbound investment. And I would like to know now, Matteo, as a citizen, as a lawyer in China, how is it the situation in China and Shanghai recently for the business people? And a bit more tricky one, it is still a top destination for foreign investors and for foreign enterprise, Shanghai? Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Carlo, for the great introduction. And as we all know, like we had experienced the 3 months of lockdown in Shanghai, and it's quite tough period for the Shanghai citizens and also for the Chinese economy. And fortunately, since June 1st, the lockdown has been shifted, and the speed of reopen, I would say honestly, according to my personal experience here in Shanghai, is going faster as comparing to our expectation. So actually, I would say we see a promising recovery of Shanghai's economy on the return soon to the normality. And as well, after we will introduce also about the general overviews of Shanghai economy in the past 5 years. And also in these 2 days, we are continuously receiving exciting news, I would say, from the State Council of Beijing, of China. And actually, yesterday they announced like the quarantine time and the restrictions for international travelers will be reduced, because from in the past, current, I would say yesterday was still 14 plus 7 days of quarantine for international arrivals. And from today, theoretically, they have cut it to 7 plus 3. So it means 7 days home quarantine and plus 7 days of centralized quarantine and plus 3 days of home quarantine. So this is exciting news. And also today, they have finally removed the star. If you are living in China, you understand what I mean, on the tracking routine card of when you have you are traveling domestically in China from city to city. At the arrival, they will check your card is to see if you have been into any areas of high or middle risk. And since today, they have canceled this restriction, so no more star will be anymore there. So it means like the central government is trying to increase the convenience for domestic travelers between moving from one city to another. Indeed, one problem we have experienced and we have lived in Shanghai, it was the logistics system was completely destroyed by the pandemic restrictions and control. So actually, all the government, what they are doing is trying to rebuild the confidence of the market and to rebuild the logistics system than what we had in the past. So I would now move to the content of my presentation and to go through the details to present to you how we can have your regional quarter in China, and especially in Shanghai, and about the general requirements and what it can bring to us. So let's go now in my PPT. Thank you. And I will say, anyway, let's say in China, to establish your regional headquarters, actually, it can be applied in any city, but mostly the multinationals, they have established their regional headquarters in the main cities, for example, Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen. And please, let's go forward. I can do it myself. Thank you. Okay, then I will explain how we can obtain the qualification of the regional headquarters in China, and I will divide it into 3 parts. And the first part is about definition. What is RHQ, with a general overview also of about Shanghai basic information. And the second part, I will introduce what kind of benefits can regional headquarters in China can bring. And the third part, we will explain how to obtain the accreditation of a regional headquarters in Shanghai. Okay, first of all, I will share with you with some interesting data we have collected. Also, this data I've yesterday viewed through WeChat public account, and I believe that these graphics also are quite interesting, especially now in terms of recovery in China of Shanghai in 2022. So Shanghai, as we all know, is one of the 4 directly administrated municipalities in China, together with Beijing, Tianjin, and Chongqing. And for the population, we say for the permanent residents, which means like either you have registered, obtained the household hukou in Shanghai, or you have registered the residence card in Shanghai. So these 2 numbers bring the total population to almost 25 million people. And if we want to be more precise, we have to consider also the flow of people who are temporarily living and working in Shanghai without registering their hukou, or without registering their residence permit, card. So actually, based on the local government, the total population in Shanghai living here, residents, could amount to 30 million total. And with this large population, we can see some economic results which Shanghai has achieved in 2021. And as GDP, we are here speaking of 4.32 trillion, which had an increase of 8.1% from year to year from in 2021. And we can see in the right part of this chart, we can see from 2016, we have had almost 30% of more than 30% of increase of GDP in the 5 years. And the same we have seen also for the import-export volume, which is like 7.57 trillion RMB, with an increase year to year 17.3% in 2021. And speaking of also the disposable income, which means a lot for the local residents. So the disposable income per capita in 2021 reached 78,000. So we are speaking already of 10,000 euros, more than 10,000 euros per capita, with an annual increase of 8%. If we go back to check this number in 2016, it was only 57%. So here also we witnessed also almost 50%, 40 to 50% of increase in 5 years. And the last part is about the retail sales, which is also the pillar of Shanghai's economy. Of consumer goods, it hit RMB 1.8 trillion in 2021, with an increase of 18%. All these numbers of 2021 made us understand, of course, this year we had a terrible Q2, due to the pandemic lockdown in Shanghai, so we can understand how much we have lost and how much we need still to recover in the remaining 6 months in Shanghai. And in the first quarter of 2022, we already witnessed some pains, let's say, in the growth of GDP in Shanghai, and the GDP reached 1 trillion with an increase only of 33.1%, and while in the whole China was 3.7%. Okay, so what is the RHQ? We can see in Shanghai as of today, we have a total RHQ of 848, and 60, among which 60 was accredited in 2021. And then comparing to Beijing, which has 207 headquarters, we can understand that Shanghai is still the number one destination for attracting multinationals to establish the regional headquarters. For this reason, in 2019, the Shanghai has published the 2 regulations regarding regional headquarters establishment. Okay, so generally speaking, in Shanghai, we have 2 systems to allow you to establish your regional headquarters. One is the regional headquarters. The other one is the regional head office, which is a lower standard for your establishment of the regional headquarters. I mean, it's not exactly regional headquarters, but it has the main function of the regional headquarters. And after we can see what is the difference. What benefits can regional headquarters bring to us? So from 4, let's say, convenient policies we can see. First is about people. Simplification of entry and exit formalities. It means like your employees can get easier to get the visas and also resident permits, and you have the favorable channels you can use. And for the talents, for the domestic talents, also they can enjoy preferential policies, which the government can allocate more quota for Shanghai households to your local staffs. This is also one talent policy which can help your company to attract more people. And in terms of capital and trade management, you can freely, I mean, you can have more, let's say, favorable policies in terms of the capital movement, in terms of the foreign exchange management, and also in terms of the customs clearance procedures. So this will help you to reach more targets when you start doing business in China in a more systemized way. And we can see now in Shanghai, if you want to apply for the status of regional headquarters, what do you have to do? Okay, and then we have 7, let's say, the main characteristics or requirements you have to meet. The first one, for sure, you have to be a foreign direct investor company with the status of independent legal person. And after, you have to carry out, the company should carry out the function of a regional headquarters. For example, the function of management, decision making, fund management, procurement, sales, logistics, and so on. And for some economic parameters, you have to reach the total assets of parent company should reach at least $200 million, and the registered capital of regional headquarters you should have here for your Chinese regional headquarters company should reach $2 million. What is important, like we have to point out here, there's no requirement on the parent company's paid-in capital, and there's no requirement for the total subsidiaries in group in the area which your regional headquarters covers. In Shanghai, this is specific, let's say, policy which helps you to obtain more easily the status of regional headquarters, because in other cities, for example, Nanjing, they may require you to have at least other 2 subsidiaries in China in order to be qualified as regional headquarters. In Shanghai, they have removed these requirements. And of course, when you get the regional headquarters status, you can also enjoy economic benefits. This part I will leave to my colleague Nikita. after he will introduce in his presentation in a more synthetic way. And last, in my part, I would just to explain a bit how you can get the procedures with which you have to go over and get your regional headquarters accreditation. So the first step, of course, we have to check the status of your parent company and the status of your local company in China, if that meet the requirements, of course, for the regional headquarters application. And the second step, you have to prepare the application documents and start the preparation on communication with the special officer in the Shanghai Municipal Commission of Commerce, we say Shanghai MOFCOM, and to get a preliminary check. Once you have checked your status with the local MOFCOM, you can prepare the application documents with your consultant. Usually, you consult all with your lawyers or with your internal legal department, and get this document prepared and submit finally to the Shanghai MOFCOM for examination and approval. And after the last step, when you finally get the approval from the Shanghai MOFCOM, you will be able to also modify the business scope in administration for market regulation, the former AIC, as the company registry, and to be so as to be consistent with the company's function newly obtained. Okay, so generally these are the main points I want to share with you about how to get your regional headquarter accreditation in Shanghai. And of course, I want to just make a last slide on key takeaways. So as I mentioned before, the Shanghai economy is recovering. I would say honestly in a not slow speed. And also Shanghai is still the main harbor in China for allocating the internet multinationals to establish their regional headquarters, and also the criteria for obtaining the regional headquarter accreditation in Shanghai is lower and is easier comparing than other cities in China. So overall, we as professionals still, as also the residents working and living in this city, we will see Shanghai is still a good choice and good harbor for the investment, for your investment in Asia region. And thank you very much. And I will just take the last minute to introduce our China practical guys. And we have already along the years published 7-8 practical guides in different different topics. And this year, other than the investment in China Southwest, we are also publishing. We have published already the invest in China South and the invest in China North. So after we will have also the chance to share with all our friends these new guys. Thank you very much. And if any question, I remain available during the Q&A section.
Thank you so much, Matteo, to give us your presentation and to give us the opportunity to understand better the situation in Shanghai and the money that companies can receive if open a regional headquarters in here. And as a signal of the fact that the city is continuing to attract, right after the reopening of the city in June 1st, we filed 2 requests of upgrade of regional headquarters of European company in Shanghai. So the confidence of the coming back of China and especially Shanghai is, you can feel it in the city. And I just want to give some figures. I want to remember that in Q1 2021, right after all the trouble of the COVID-19, the first wave in 2020, China GDP grew 18.3%, the record high historically. And we hope that Q3 will be much better. Let's see now how will be the result of Q2, that it will be out later on. I'm gonna give the floor now to the next speaker.